Far beyond Earth, beyond thousands of stars and planets, there was a place that every warrior in the galaxy knew. Its name was Predator Academy. People did not speak that name with happiness. They spoke it with fear. Predator Academy was not a normal school. It was the deadliest training place in the galaxy. Only the strongest species could enter. Students came from dangerous worlds filled with monsters, endless wars, and deadly environments. Some had claws sharp enough to cut metal. Some had giant bodies stronger than machines. Some had poisonous blood. Others had powers that could destroy walls with a single attack. Every year, millions applied. Only a few thousand were accepted. And even then, many students never graduated. Some disappeared during training. Some failed dangerous tests. Some simply gave up. The academy did not care. Weakness had no place there. Today was the first day for new students. Huge ships filled the sky above the academy planet. Massive battle cruisers landed one after another. Students stepped out proudly. Some wore black armor covered in battle scars. Some carried large weapons. Others walked with groups of bodyguards. The giant academy stood in front of them. Its dark towers reached into the clouds. Huge statues of legendary warriors surrounded the entrance. Everyone looked excited. Everyone looked nervous. The strongest future warriors in the galaxy were finally here. Then something strange happened. Far above the clouds, a small object suddenly appeared. At first, nobody noticed it. Then someone pointed toward the sky. What is that? Students looked upward. A small ship slowly moved through the air. No, calling it a ship was being kind. The thing looked broken. Smoke came out from one side. One engine kept turning on and off. The ship shook left and right like it was about to fall apart. The crowd stared silently. One student started laughing. Then another. Soon everyone was laughing. What is that junk? Did someone forget to throw away their garbage? That thing belongs in a museum. The tiny ship continued moving toward the landing area. Even teachers looked confused. Then the ship landed. If someone called it a landing, that would also be kind. The ship hit the ground. Bounced once. Turned sideways. Dragged across the ground. Then finally stopped. Silence. Nobody moved. Nobody spoke. Then the front door slowly opened. Smoke came out first. Everyone stared. Large alien warriors waited to see some powerful creature appear. Maybe some hidden species. Maybe some legendary fighter. Heavy footsteps never came. Instead, a young man walked out. He looked around with confused eyes. He wore simple clothes. No armor. No weapons. No giant muscles. No claws. No scales. Just a backpack hanging from one shoulder. Silence covered the entire area. The human blinked. Then he looked at the crowd. The crowd looked back. Nobody moved. Nobody breathed. Then suddenly, the entire place exploded with laughter. Haha. No way. That tiny thing is a student? Where are his weapons? Is this a joke? One giant alien held his stomach while laughing. Another student pointed directly at him. I have seen pets larger than him. The human looked even more confused. His name was Ethan Carter. And right now, Ethan had absolutely no idea what was happening. He slowly pulled out a small device from his pocket. He looked at the screen. Then looked around. Then looked back at the screen. His eyes became wide. Oh no. He checked it again. Oh no. No, no, no. Sweat appeared on his forehead. This can't be right. The message on his device clearly showed his destination. But this was not the place he wanted. Not even close. Ethan had applied for a simple engineering program on another planet. He was supposed to arrive at a peaceful technology academy. Not here. Not at some giant warrior school filled with monsters. Something had gone terribly wrong. Ethan slowly turned around toward his ship. Maybe he could leave quietly. Maybe nobody would stop him. Then suddenly, a bright red light appeared above him. Scan detected. Ethan froze. A machine in the sky moved over him. Blue light covered his body. A robotic voice echoed through the academy. Identity confirmed. Everyone became quiet. Ethan stared upward. No, 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 no. Species, human. Students looked at each other. Human? Many had never heard that word before. Others looked confused. The machine continued. Student registration complete. Ethan's face became pale. No. Welcome to Predator Academy. No. The crowd suddenly became silent. Nobody laughed anymore. Even teachers stared at Ethan. One large warrior slowly frowned. Another narrowed his eyes. Someone whispered quietly, "Wait." Another student looked nervous. If the academy accepted him? Silence. The first student swallowed. Then maybe he belongs here. The laughter completely disappeared. Students slowly stepped back. Some looked nervous. Others suddenly looked afraid. Because everyone knew one thing. Predator Academy never made mistakes. Never. And if a weak-looking creature had been accepted, then maybe he was not weak at all. Ethan looked around at the silent crowd. Then he nervously smiled. I think I'm in the wrong place. Nobody laughed. Nobody moved. Far away, one teacher stared at Ethan and whispered, "What exactly is a human?" The silence around Ethan felt strange. Only a few seconds ago, everyone had been laughing at him. Now nobody laughed. Nobody even spoke. Hundreds of eyes followed him as he stood near his damaged ship with his backpack hanging from one shoulder. Ethan slowly looked around. Then he pointed at himself. "Me." Nobody answered. A huge alien student with dark gray skin slowly moved away from Ethan. Then another student stepped back. Soon others followed. Ethan blinked. Why are they moving away? He looked confused. I didn't do anything. Far away, whispers started spreading through the crowd. Predator Academy accepted him. Maybe humans are secret hunters. He looks weak on purpose. No species survives this long by being weak. Rumors moved through the crowd like fire. The problem was simple. Nobody knew anything about humans. And when creatures do not understand something, they imagine things much worse. Suddenly, several academy guards walked toward Ethan. They were nearly 3 meters tall and wore heavy black armor. Ethan looked relieved. "Oh, good." He smiled. "Can you help me? I think there was a mistake." Student Ethan Carter. One guard interrupted him. "Follow us." Ethan blinked. "Wait, I need to explain." "Follow us." "No, seriously, I think I came to the wrong." "Follow us." Ethan sighed. "Okay." As Ethan walked through the academy entrance, students stared from both sides. The inside looked even crazier than outside. Massive training fields covered the area. Giant flying creatures moved through the sky. Robotic drones floated around. Students fought in combat zones. One group trained with energy weapons. Another fought giant machines. Ethan slowly looked around. His eyes became wide. This is definitely not engineering school. A few students secretly watched him. One whispered, "Look at him." Another whispered back, "He isn't even scared." Ethan was actually terrified. Very terrified. But right now his brain had stopped working. Everything had become too crazy. The guards finally stopped near a giant building. Above the entrance, large metal letters glowed. First Year Evaluation Hall. Ethan looked at the words. Then looked at the guards. Then looked back at the words. "No." One guard opened the doors. "Enter." "No." "Enter." "I think you don't understand." "Enter." Ethan slowly walked inside. The room was enormous. Thousands of students sat inside giant rows. Teachers stood on platforms above them. Screens floated in the air. Ethan noticed that every student looked dangerous. Some had 4 arms. Some had horns. Some looked like walking monsters. Then Ethan noticed something worse. Everyone was staring at him. "Oh great," Ethan whispered. "I miss Earth already." Suddenly a loud voice filled the room. "Welcome, new students." The entire room became quiet. A large figure stepped forward. He wore dark armor covered in old battle marks. One eye was mechanical. Scars covered half his face. His voice felt heavy. "I am Commander Varek." Nobody moved. "You are now students of Predator Academy." Large screens appeared around the room. Images flashed rapidly. Students fighting. Monsters attacking. Explosions. Battles. The weak leave. More images appeared. Destroyed ships. Broken weapons. Dangerous creatures. The strong survive. Ethan slowly swallowed. Then Varric smiled. It was not a friendly smile. Today begins your first trial. Suddenly the room changed. Metal walls opened. Huge maps appeared. Red warning signs flashed everywhere. Students looked nervous. Even strong-looking warriors looked serious. Ethan noticed this immediately, and that made him nervous too. Varric pointed toward the map. Your first test will take place in Zone 7. A picture appeared. Dense forests. Dark mountains. Fog everywhere. Then another image appeared. A giant creature with 6 eyes and rows of sharp teeth. Ethan nearly jumped from his seat. What is that? Varric continued speaking. Inside Zone 7 live captured creatures from death worlds. The room became silent. Your mission is simple. Ethan suddenly felt hope. Maybe simple meant answering questions. Maybe writing something. Maybe engineering work. Then Varric finished speaking. Survive 1 hour. Silence. Ethan stared. What? Several students immediately looked worried. One student whispered, Already? Another looked pale. No way. Ethan looked around. Wait. He raised his hand. Nobody else raised their hand. Varric looked directly at him. Ethan stood up slowly. Sir, I think there is some misunderstanding. Everyone watched him. I think I accidentally joined this place. Silence. Varric stared. Ethan smiled nervously. So maybe I should leave? Varric looked at a screen beside him. He checked Ethan's file. Then his expression changed slightly. Ethan felt hope. Maybe he finally understood. Maybe this nightmare was ending. Then Varric looked up again. Denied. Ethan froze. What? Request denied. What? You are registered. But I came by mistake. Not our problem. The room stayed silent. Ethan slowly sat down. His soul almost left his body. Meanwhile, students looked at him differently. They misunderstood everything. One whispered, He challenged Commander Varric. Another whispered, And he wasn't afraid. A third student looked nervous. What kind of species are humans? Ethan placed both hands on his face. Inside his head, only one thought repeated. I am going to die. Then alarms suddenly started ringing. Warning. Trial gates opening. Huge doors slowly began opening behind the room. Darkness waited outside. Cold wind entered. And from far away, something growled. Something very big. Ethan slowly turned toward the sound. His eyes widened. Oh no! The giant metal doors slowly opened. Cold air entered the room. The growling sound became louder. Very slowly, very heavily. Something moved in the darkness. Ethan stared at the opening. Students around him suddenly became serious. No one whispered anymore. No one laughed anymore. Even the strongest-looking warriors looked nervous. Ethan noticed this immediately, and that made him feel much worse. Why does everyone suddenly look scared? He whispered. A student sitting beside him slowly turned his head. The alien had dark blue skin and glowing yellow eyes. The creature. Ethan blinked. The creature? The alien swallowed. Listen carefully, human. Ethan looked surprised. This was the first student who had spoken to him normally. The alien pointed toward the darkness. Zone 7 is not a normal training area. Ethan looked confused. What do you mean? The student lowered his voice. They put monsters there. Ethan looked back toward the opening. Monsters? The alien nodded. Creatures from death worlds. Ethan laughed nervously. Oh. Then his face slowly changed. Oh. Suddenly Commander Varric's voice echoed through the hall. Students, move toward your assigned transport platforms. Immediately everyone stood up. Large screens appeared above their heads. Groups and numbers flashed everywhere. Ethan searched the screen. Then he found his name. Ethan Carter, Group 7. Below it were 4 other names. Ethan looked around. 4 large alien students looked back at him. Nobody looked happy. One of them was nearly 3 meters tall. Another had 4 arms. One had red eyes and black scales. The last one looked thin, but his claws looked sharp enough to cut steel. Ethan smiled awkwardly. Hi. Silence. Nice to meet you? Still silence. Then the 4-armed alien sighed loudly. Great. Another crossed his arms. Why us? The tall one looked angry. We got the human. Ethan frowned. Hey. Everyone looked at him. I'm standing here. The students ignored him. This is bad luck. We'll probably die. The academy is testing us. Ethan looked confused. Wait, why is getting me bad? Nobody answered. Soon the group reached their transport platform. Small flying vehicles waited there. Students climbed inside one by one. Ethan sat quietly near the back. The ride started. Outside the windows, huge academy buildings disappeared behind them. Soon forests covered everything. Dark forests. Massive trees reached high into the sky. Fog moved across the ground. Strange shadows moved between branches. The place looked wrong. Ethan could not explain it. Everything felt dangerous. Very dangerous. The thin alien finally looked toward Ethan. My name is Tarek. Ethan smiled. Ethan. Tarek stared at him. Then looked away. The others introduced themselves slowly. Corinne. Vexa. Dron. Nobody looked friendly. Nobody smiled. After several minutes, Tarek finally spoke again. Human. Ethan looked up. Yeah. Can I ask something? Ethan nodded. Sure. Tarek narrowed his eyes. What exactly are humans? Ethan blinked. What? The academy accepted you. The others looked toward Ethan. We searched your species information. Corinne crossed his arms. Nothing exists. Vexa slowly leaned closer. No records. No military data. No combat history. No planet information. Dron stared directly at Ethan. What are you hiding? Ethan looked around at all of them. Then he laughed. Hiding. Nobody laughed back. Ethan cleared his throat. We're just people. Silence. We eat food. Silence. We sleep. Silence. We work. Silence. We complain about life. Still silence. The aliens looked more confused than before. Tarek frowned. That sounds impossible. Ethan raised an eyebrow. Why? Tarek pointed outside. Look outside. Ethan looked through the window. His face slowly changed. Far below them something moved between the trees. Something huge. Very huge. A creature stepped into a clearing. Ethan froze. The thing looked like a nightmare. Its body looked similar to a wolf. But it was much larger. 6 glowing eyes covered its face. Its mouth contained rows of teeth. Long black spikes covered its back. Then another one appeared. Then another. Ethan stared. Dogs. The aliens looked at him. What? Ethan pointed. They're dogs. Silence. Absolute silence. Vexa nearly choked. Dogs. Tarek stared at him. Those are bloodstalkers. Ethan looked confused. Oh. Dron looked shocked. Oh. Oh. The entire group stared at him. Corinne slowly moved away. He called bloodstalkers dogs. Vexa looked nervous. Human, are animals on your planet insane? Ethan thought for a moment, then smiled. Actually, everyone leaned forward. We have bears. Silence. And sharks. More silence. And crocodiles. Nobody moved. And spiders. Tarek slowly turned pale. How big? Ethan thought. Depends. No one spoke. Then Ethan added. Oh yeah, and mosquitoes. Silence. Complete silence. Nobody understood what mosquitoes were. But somehow, the way Ethan said it sounded terrifying. Very slowly Tarek whispered, I think. Corinne looked at him. I think humans come from a death world. Nobody argued. Nobody laughed. Because for the first time, they were starting to become afraid. Suddenly alarms exploded inside the transport. Warning! Landing area approaching. Zone 7 entry in 30 seconds. Outside the windows, something massive moved under the trees. Something much larger than the Bloodstalkers. Ethan looked down. Then he quietly whispered, "Oh no!" The transport slowly moved lower. Nobody inside spoke. Nobody moved. Everyone stared outside the window. The forest below looked endless. Dark trees covered everything. Fog moved slowly between branches. Strange sounds came from below. Growls. Screams. Heavy footsteps. Something was moving down there. Something big. Very big. Ethan quietly swallowed. Then he looked at Tarek. "So?" Tarek looked back. "So?" Ethan forced a smile. "Maybe this training thing isn't that bad." Nobody answered. Ethan slowly looked away. "Right." Still nothing. The transport suddenly shook. Everyone jumped. Warning lights flashed red. "Warning! Warning! Impact detected!" The vehicle shook violently. Students grabbed their seats. Ethan nearly fell forward. What was that? Then they heard it. A loud roar. Not outside. Right beside them. Everyone froze. Very slowly they looked toward the window. And saw an eye. A giant glowing yellow eye. Ethan stopped breathing. The eye was almost as large as the transport itself. The creature outside moved beside them. Huge black scales covered its body. Long sharp spikes ran across its back. Its mouth slowly opened. Rows and rows of teeth appeared. Nobody spoke. Nobody even blinked. Drawn whispered, "Sky Hunter." Tarek's face became pale. "No." Vexa stared at the creature. "No, no, no." Ethan looked confused. "What is a Sky Hunter?" Nobody answered immediately. Then Corinne slowly spoke. "They eat flying things." Ethan blinked. "Flying things?" Corinne looked directly at him. "We are flying." Ethan's eyes widened. "Oh." The creature suddenly smashed against the transport. Boom. The whole vehicle spun sideways. Students screamed. Lights exploded above them. The pilot system started speaking. Critical damage detected. Emergency landing activated. Ethan grabbed his seat tightly. "Oh, this is bad." The Sky Hunter attacked again. Boom. Metal cracked. Glass shattered. Wind exploded inside the transport. Students held on to anything they could. Outside, the giant creature roared again. Then suddenly, crack. Part of the wall broke open. Air rushed outside. Drawn almost got pulled toward the opening. Vexa grabbed his arm. "Hold him." Tarek grabbed Drawn. Corinne grabbed Tarek. Then suddenly Ethan felt something pulling him. He looked down. His backpack strap was stuck near the broken section. The wind dragged him toward the opening. "Oh no, 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 and no." He grabbed his seat. But slowly, very slowly, he started sliding. "Ethan!" Tarek shouted. Ethan looked shocked. Tarek actually sounded worried. The human held tighter. But the force was too strong. His fingers slipped. Little by little he moved toward the opening. Outside he could see the forest far below. Huge trees. Sharp rocks. Certain death. Nope. Sip. Nope. Sip. Nope, nope, nope. Then suddenly, a hand grabbed him. Ethan looked up. Corinne held his arm. Then Drawn grabbed Ethan's shoulder. Then Vexa helped. All four aliens pulled together. A few seconds later, Ethan crashed back onto the floor. Everyone breathed heavily. Nobody spoke. Ethan looked around. Then slowly smiled. "Thanks." Silence. Then Tarek crossed his arms. "We only saved you because you're part of our team." Ethan smiled. "Sure." Tarek looked away. Outside things became worse. The Sky Hunter moved beside them again. Its giant body flew through the air like a nightmare. Ethan stared. The thing moved surprisingly fast. Very fast. Then Ethan noticed something strange. His eyes narrowed. The creature attacked. Again. And again. But each attack happened from one side. Only one side. Ethan looked carefully. The monster kept turning strangely. Like it avoided something. Ethan slowly sat up. Then he looked through the damaged window again. His expression changed. Huh? Tarek looked at him. What? Ethan pointed. Why does it only attack from the left? Silence. Everyone looked outside. The creature attacked again. Left side. Fin. Left side. Fin. Left side. Students blinked. Then stared at Ethan. Ethan looked confused. What? Vexa narrowed her eyes. How did you notice that? Ethan shrugged. I don't know. Actually, Ethan did know. Back on Earth, he loved watching animal videos. He watched hunting animals. Birds. Bulls. Chirps. Patterns mattered. Movement mattered. Predators always showed habits. The sky hunter attacked again. Then Ethan suddenly smiled. Tarek stared at him. Why are you smiling? Ethan pointed toward the creature. I think it's injured. Silence. Absolute silence. Corinne blinked. What? Ethan looked outside. See that wing? Everyone looked. At first they saw nothing. Then they noticed it. A small tear. Very small. Almost impossible to see. But one wing moved slightly slower. The sky hunter avoided turning that side. Nobody spoke. Nobody moved. Slowly Drawn looked at Ethan. Then at the creature. Then back at Ethan. Human. Ethan looked up. Yeah. Drawn swallowed. What exactly are humans? Before Ethan could answer, emergency landing activated. The transport started falling. Very fast. Straight toward Zone 7. And far below, something enormous was waiting for them. The transport was falling. Very fast. Red warning lights flashed everywhere. Metal screamed around them. Students held onto anything they could grab. Outside the windows, Zone 7 rushed closer every second. Huge trees looked like giant spikes waiting below. Ethan grabbed his seat tightly. I hate space. Boom. The sky hunter attacked one more time. The transport spun violently. Everyone slammed into the walls. Critical failure. Impact in 5 seconds. 4, 3. Tarek's eyes widened. Brace. 2. Ethan closed his eyes. Crash. The world exploded. Metal twisted. Glass shattered. Trees broke apart. The transport crashed through branches and smashed into the ground. Everything became darkness. Ethan slowly opened his eyes. For several seconds, he saw nothing except smoke. His head hurt. Everything hurt. He looked around. Broken metal covered the ground. Pieces of the transport were everywhere. Strange sounds echoed from the forest. Leaves slowly fell from above. Ethan touched his forehead. Ouch! Then suddenly, Ethan turned. Tarek was climbing out of broken metal nearby. Vexa crawled from under a damaged seat. Corinne and Drawn appeared moments later. Everyone looked injured, but alive. Ethan let out a breath. Oh, thank God. Then everyone stared at him. Ethan blinked. What? Tarek narrowed his eyes. You prayed. Ethan looked confused. Yeah. Silence. Drawn tilted his head. Who is God? Ethan opened his mouth. Then closed it. Then opened it again. You know what? He pointed around. This conversation can wait. Nobody argued. The group looked around carefully. The forest felt wrong. Very wrong. Even the air felt heavy. Huge trees blocked sunlight. Strange glowing plants covered the ground. Unknown sounds came from every direction. Nothing looked normal. Nothing looked safe. Then Vexa froze. Slowly she pointed toward the mud. Everyone looked. Large footprints. Very large footprints. Ethan stared. Each footprint was almost bigger than him. Fresh footprints. Very fresh. Tarek looked nervous. Something is nearby. Corinne checked the area. No. His voice became quiet. Something big is nearby. Then Drawn slowly looked upward. His face lost all color. Ethan. Ethan looked at him. Drawn pointed. Very slowly, Ethan raised his head. And immediately regretted it. Above them, hidden between giant branches, 6 glowing eyes stared back. Nobody moved. Nobody breathed. A blood stalker. One of the giant wolf creatures. Its black body stayed perfectly still. Watching. waiting. Then another pair of eyes appeared. Then another. Then another. Silence. Absolute silence. Tarek whispered, "Run." Nobody moved. The creatures continued staring. Ethan slowly looked around. 1, 2, 3, 4. At least 5 bloodstalkers surrounded them. Vexa whispered, "We're dead." Nobody argued. Because everyone knew the truth. Bloodstalkers hunted in groups. Even experienced students feared them. Then suddenly Ethan frowned. "Huh." Everyone looked at him. "Huh." Ethan stared at the creatures. Then he slowly looked around the forest floor. Then at the trees. Then back at the monsters. Tarek looked shocked. "Why are you doing that?" Ethan ignored him. He walked toward a nearby tree. Everyone nearly screamed. "Ethan! What are you doing? Come back." But Ethan continued looking around. Then suddenly he smiled. Tarek looked terrified. "No." Ethan looked back. "No." Tarek pointed at him. "No smiling." Ethan blinked. "What?" "The last time you smiled, something crazy happened." Others immediately nodded. "Yes. Absolutely. Stop doing that." Ethan looked confused. Then pointed toward the bloodstalkers. "Guys." Very slowly everyone looked back. The creatures still watched them. Then Ethan pointed at the ground. "Look." Nobody understood. "What?" Ethan walked closer. "Look carefully." Tarek narrowed his eyes. Then his face changed. Scratches. Deep scratches covered the dirt. Broken branches lay nearby. Large pieces of bark were missing from trees. Corinne suddenly understood. His eyes widened. "No way." Ethan nodded slowly. "They're scared." Silence. Everyone stared at him. Vexa blinked. "What?" Ethan pointed around. "They aren't hunting us." Nobody moved. "They're hiding." Dron looked confused. "Hiding from what?" Ethan slowly looked deeper into the forest. His smile disappeared. For the first time, he looked worried. Very worried. Because far away, he saw something enormous move between the trees. Something so large that trees bent as it walked. Something much bigger than bloodstalkers. And suddenly, all 5 bloodstalkers quietly stepped backward. Fear appeared in their eyes. Predators were afraid. Ethan slowly whispered, "Oh." Then the ground started shaking. And from the darkness, something began coming toward them. The ground kept shaking. Leaves fell from trees. Small rocks rolled across the dirt. Nobody moved. Nobody spoke. Ethan and the others stared into the darkness ahead. Something huge was coming. Very huge. Even the bloodstalkers had moved backward. That alone was terrifying. Because predators did not fear many things. But right now, they were afraid. The sound became closer. 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 Then suddenly, the trees exploded apart. A giant creature stepped out. Everyone froze. Ethan felt his heart stop. The thing was massive. Its body looked like a giant black beast covered in thick armor plates. Sharp spikes covered its back. 4 glowing red eyes stared forward. Long claws dug into the ground. Its head looked almost like a monster from nightmares. And its size was impossible. The creature was taller than the trees around it. Silence filled the forest. Then Tarek whispered one word. "Titan." Nobody looked away. Vexa slowly stepped backward. "No." Dron's hands shook. "No, no, no." Ethan looked confused. "What is a Titan?" Nobody answered immediately. Corinne swallowed. Then quietly said, "Zone 7's king." Silence. "The strongest creature here." Ethan blinked. "Oh." Tarek looked at him. "Oh." Ethan pointed at the giant monster. "That's all you can say?" The Titan suddenly lifted its head. Then it sniffed the air. Twice. Then all 4 red eyes slowly turned toward them. Everyone froze. The monster saw them. Ethan slowly smiled nervously. Maybe it didn't. The Titan roared. "Ruawayer." The entire forest shook. Birds flew away. Trees bent from the force. Ethan's smile disappeared immediately. Nope. Tarek screamed. Run! Everyone ran. Branches hit their faces. Roots covered the ground. The giant footsteps behind them became louder. The Titan chased them easily. Its huge legs destroyed everything. Trees snapped like sticks. Rocks exploded. Ethan ran as fast as possible. His lungs burned. His legs hurt. Behind him Vexa shouted, "It's gaining on us." Dron looked terrified. "We can't outrun this." Corinne looked back. Big mistake. Very big mistake. Because the Titan suddenly swung one giant arm. Crash! A huge tree flew through the air. Corinne barely avoided it. The tree crashed beside Ethan. Dirt exploded everywhere. Ethan coughed. Then suddenly, he noticed something. His eyes narrowed. The Titan kept charging. Fin. But something felt strange. Very strange. Ethan looked around while running. Then looked at the monster. Then looked ahead. Suddenly, he smiled. Tarek nearly screamed. "No!" Ethan looked confused. "No!" Tarek pointed at him while running. "Not again." Others looked terrified too. "Stop smiling. Please stop smiling." Ethan ignored them. Instead he pointed ahead. "Go left." Nobody questioned him. At this point nobody wanted to question the human anymore. They turned left. The Titan followed. They ran through narrow spaces between giant rocks. The Titan continued chasing. Then Ethan shouted, "Left again." Everyone followed. Then again. And again. Soon they reached a strange area. Large stone pillars stood everywhere. Massive rocks balanced above them. Tarek looked confused. "Why are we here?" Ethan looked back. Then smiled. "Because it's big." Silence. "What?" Ethan pointed at the Titan. "It's too big." The others stared. The giant creature kept charging straight toward them. It never slowed down. Never changed direction. Then suddenly, everyone understood. Its size was a weakness. Ethan shouted, "Move!" Everyone jumped away. The Titan tried turning. Too late. Boom! Its giant body smashed into the stone pillars. Cracks spread everywhere. For 1 second, nothing happened. Crash! Huge rocks collapsed. Massive stone pieces rained down. Dust exploded into the air. The entire area shook. Silence followed. Absolute silence. Ethan slowly stood up. Everyone stared at the dust cloud. Nobody moved. Then Dron whispered, "Did we win?" The dust slowly cleared. The Titan lay under giant rocks. Not dead, but trapped. Completely trapped. Silence. Tarek slowly turned toward Ethan. Vexa stared. Corinne stared. Dron stared. Nobody blinked. Ethan looked around. "What?" Tarek swallowed. "You." Silence. "You hunted the hunter." Nobody spoke. Far above the trees, Academy rescue ships finally appeared. Bright lights filled the sky. But nobody cared. Because right now 4 alien students only stared at one thing. A human. A simple human. A species with no claws. No scales. No armor. And for the first time, alien warriors finally understood something. Strength was not always muscles. Sometimes, the most dangerous thing in the galaxy was a mind that never stopped thinking. And far away, hidden in the shadows of the forest, something else watched Ethan. Something intelligent. Something smiling.